Like you, I was shocked when I heard that Fox News had hired Bruce Jenner to be its newest female political contributor. We remember Jenner winning Olympic gold in 1976 and from the front of the Wheaties box. But today, Jenner believes he is a woman. I'd love to know which female contributors were passed over or perhaps even made redundant to clear space for Fox's newest starred transgender commentator. We will never know their names. Bruce Jenner was hired on the last day of Women's History Month, but for many of us, it felt like the last day in women's history. We've all watched open-mouthed in shock and disgust as men have taken over women's sports, robbing women and girls of their rightful accomplishments and causing near-fatal injuries to real women in some contact sports. We've seen the photos of Leah Thomas's muscular frame towering over his female competitors. We've watched wondering how this can possibly be our America as drag queens and transsexuals parade around the halls of supposedly conservative political action conferences, as transsexuals force their way into our daughters' locker rooms, and as gay men with cross-dressing fetishes have hosted Drag Queen Story Hour for impressionable young children at our local libraries. We're expected to believe all of this is healthy and normal. An obsession with cross-dressing and gender disruption is one of the hallmarks of a civilization in rapid decline. I believe in America, and I don't want to see it fall like the Roman Empire did, overrun by barbarians in a matter of months because it had forgotten how to defend itself. But you have to admit that the parallels between the corrupt and ineffectual late period of Rome and modern-day America are stark. We have allowed ourselves to become obsessed with ridiculous minutiae like transgender pronouns while our marriage and birth rates plummet. Our armed forces seem to care more about naming ships after gay pedophiles like Harvey Milk than ensuring our readiness for conflict with China and Russia. And everywhere you look, the signs of decadence and decay are consuming our once great institutions. The American university as a center of learning is a thing of the past. The American media has cast off its responsibility as truth teller, perverting the free press in favor of conjuring up new heresies like white supremacy and transphobia. All the while, the humble and wholesome values of ordinary working families and the traditional roles and responsibilities of men and women, of mothers and fathers, have become subverted and mocked by the elite classes. Mom and Dad have been replaced by Chasten and Pete Buttigieg and their designer babies. Our society is sick, and the symptoms are easy to see. Women are murdering and mutilating their own babies through the twin horrors of abortion and transgenderism, without so much as a whisper of protest from conservatives who aren't brave enough to step in and stop it. As ever, our children are the victims. America can be rightly proud of its record on women's rights. There is no country in the world I would rather live in as a woman. My own success in business and election to Congress is a testament to the progress women have made in this nation. And yet Joe Biden wants to undo all of it. In the coming weeks, his Department of Education is expected to make changes to Title IX that will effectively end women's sports, guaranteeing that any biological male who wishes to compete against young girls will be allowed to do so. We cannot allow women's progress to be undone by bad actors wearing the shallow mask of diversity and inclusion, and we cannot be deterred by disingenuous claims of hate and intolerance. Join me in resisting this absurdity. Turn off the television when mentally disturbed men in wigs are invited to give their opinions about the news. Shun sporting events in disgust when grown men are allowed to call themselves women and steal titles from deserving competitors. We can only laugh in our Heavenly Father's face for so long, ridiculing his injunctions before his judgment, swift and terrible, comes for us all. It is time to protect our girls. It is time to end the war on women. It is time for us to say no more, no way, no how, and no further. to the wretched dystopia the left is seeking to impose upon our schools, our neighborhoods, and our society.